life that I'm living. Sit back, chillin', start a multi-business with the focus, making millions. It's the stuff that dreams are made of and no haters. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us for another episode of Let's Talk Business. You know, I'm very excited today because of the guest that we have here who's been doing this for quite some time, has had a tremendous impact on the community, and you may know her. Today we get the opportunity to speak with Miss Sonya Smith. How you doing, Sonya?
I'm doing good.
Yes,
How are you?
yes, it's good to see you. I'm glad you joined us today.
I'm glad to be here.
Yes, yes. So what I would like to do in connection with your story, you know, and I do this with a lot of the guests that come on, we just want to kind of get your beginning. So share with us a little bit about the beginning of Sonya's story.
The beginning of my story?
Yeah.
My beginning starts here, right here in South Bend. I grew up in South Bend here and went to public school here. I went to LaSalle High School and graduated, and I was the first African-American valedictorian in the history of the city of South Bend. So that was an amazing experience for our community and for recognition in general. And the impact even on the public school system that South Bend produced, you know, the public school system produced a African-American valedictorian. And then from there, I went to Butler University, and then I had an international business and Spanish double major, studied in Spain while I was there, so that started my whole international travel and business there. And then after that, I went to work for Eli Lilly and went pharmaceutical sales for about 13 years. So I spent a lot of time in corporate America.
Okay. So you spent a lot of time in corporate America, but before that, you mentioned about going to Butler, right? So obviously you got a degree?
Yes, I have a bachelor's degree from Butler University.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I got my master's later on in 2008, executive MBA from Michigan State University.
All right. So this was your educational base?
Yes, that was my educational base.
Okay.
Started right here in our hometown, South Bend.
There you go. And I'm sure South Bend, a lot of South Benders love that you started here. But now, you mentioned you had a job. So what happened that triggered in your mind to say, I no longer want to be an employee and I want to be a business owner? What was that inspiration or motivation for that?
You know, it really started when I was in college. I didn't know it was entrepreneurship, but when I was in college and I sat across the table, I did Primerica Financial Services, you know, got my insurance license. I was doing that. And I was meeting with family members and people in the community. And I saw people who were later on in life and could barely afford life insurance. And then I saw the debt that they had and the things that were going on. And a lot of people have worked hard for a lot of years, but still was not at that level where it saved in the financial education, you know. And I was wondering, like, wow, how can we change that? And you know, me at 19, 18, I didn't know the answer to that, right? So when I was at Butler, I had the opportunity to go on the finance side or the sales side, because I did internships with some banks, with Key Bank here in South Bend, and so on and so forth. But I decided I'm a people person. I wanted to do more of the sales side. But I had, throughout the years, no matter what job I had, I always had a business that kind of developed that I was doing in conjunction to my 9-to-5 job. Like, so I started off, the first business I started off was with the tax business. I had a family friend that worked in Lansing. He was close to family. He had a tax practice for 40 years. He kept saying, Sonya, come work for me, come work for me. And he's never done it. He only had 2 people in the whole history work for that he trusted enough. And I was like, no. And then at the time I had my daughter, and the daycare fee or the school fees, Montessori school fees, I said, almost $900 a month. I need to get another stream of income. So that quickly opened the door, and I saw that a lot of older people were being taken advantage of with taxes, and that was my heart and opening it. So I started doing taxes, right? So I had about 25 clients for, you know, quite a few years, about 6 or 7 years. And then from there, even before then, I got involved in real estate.
Wow.
So in 2000, when I moved to Michigan, 3 years 3 years after moving to Michigan, the opportunity came for me to purchase a commercial building. Like, I went straight from not owning, most people buy houses and buy property.
Right.
No, I went straight to a commercial building. I didn't, But I learned everything the hard way. I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have anybody to teach me. So I had to learn how to do evictions, learn how to, go to court, how to do, how to manage all that, how to manage, then when you put somebody out, you can't just throw their stuff out on the curb and the city pick it up. No, you get tickets for that. You need a dumpster. Like, I had to learn all that the hard way, right?
Yeah.
So back in 2000, I had the commercial building until like 2012. Yeah, okay. So 2012, so like 12 years. Or so. And so I had the commercial building, and then so during that time too, I sold my house and I rented that out, and then I built another house. So I kind of happened to stumble into real estate. You know how people do real estate as an entrepreneur. I really had no idea or the labels of the things I was doing. So I did taxes, I had that, and worked my full-time job. And then at one point, I met a young lady when I was building the house, and I built the house. She asked me if I would work with her in the mortgage industry. So then she's like, yeah, come on board with me and we can do mortgages and stuff like that. So I started doing a few mortgages, but however, I didn't get started because it was when that dip in 2008, 2009 happened and stuff. And so I didn't go down that road during that time period.
Okay.
So yeah, yes. So fast forward to how do I get here with Wealth in Motion is I think I worked in corporate America. Like we said, I was in pharmaceutical sales. I worked as a business development director for mental health hospital, children's hospital. I went overseas. That was my dream, is to work overseas. I worked overseas as an expat. And during the course of those executive positions, there would come times when there were layoffs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you are dependent upon just one job or one stream of income and you get laid off, then that could be a world of hurt if you don't have your emergency fund or you don't have other things going. So I always believed in having multiple streams of income, even if it's a little bit, right? So even if it's not that much and you're doing your daytime job and something happens to that job, you can shift and focus and get money coming in because you're learning it while you're got money come in versus you're out of a job and you're trying to learn something because it takes about a year and a half to even get your skills together to make a business that's going to be feasible.
Yeah. Wow, I got to tell you, you've done a lot, right? So let me just see if I gathered as much. Insurance, mortgage, real estate, right? And of course you have the employment.
Yeah, pharmaceutical sales.
Not to mention a mother.
Yeah.
That's a job too, right?
Yeah.
So the motivation obviously is because it sounded like you wanted to make sure you didn't put all your eggs in one basket. You wanted to make sure that if this one opportunity failed, I still had another opportunity. And most of the entrepreneurs and business owners and those in our audience, they think like that as well. A lot of them have that inspiration. They want to have multiple things, but when it comes to the management of those things, how were you able to manage all that?
I think I'm a high energy person, so I think that's one of the things. And I'm a great multitasker. A lot of entrepreneurs in the baseline, they have like high energy, great multitasking ability. So if you have a multitasking and administrative ability, it makes it easier. If you have the basic skill set. Okay. So I think that's it. And I think you list all the things I've done. It's been over the course of 30 years. It was not all together at the same time. Thank God. I couldn't have multitasked that much.
Yeah, exactly. So opportunities came, you saw it, you took advantage of it. Other ones, you just kind of let go. You just kind of went through the process, so to speak. And that's great. Now, you mentioned about your business that you are having, that you currently have. Now, let's talk a little bit about that. What was the motivation to start that, and what does it do?
Okay. So I have Wealth in Motion Consulting in 2021. Remember I told you in my life, professional career, there's been a series of layoffs and things that happened, right? So I was in 2017. I was making good money. I was at top of the pay scale. I had a director's position. I mean, life was good. I was like, oh, this is good. This is it. I'm sold out. I'm staying on this job. Oh man, a stock options, profit share. Oh, this is about to be good.
All right.
And what happened was the owner of the company, CEO, his father, who was a founder, died, so he was able to sell the company. So he sold the company, and all of us directors got let go. So that's when I found the opportunity about the job in Doha, Qatar. So I go to Qatar, right? So I pick up, sell everything, put just memories in storage, but sell everything. Get rid of the house, rent out my house, all that.
Now, wait. Tell the audience where that is, because they might not know.
Oh, Doha, Qatar is in the Middle East, and it borders Saudi Arabia, and it's north of Dubai. A lot of people know Dubai, so it's north of Dubai.
Gotcha.
So, and it's small. Like Saudi Arabia fits like the middle of the United States, where Qatar is a country that's the size of Connecticut. It's like a small state.
Wow.
So I go over there. I take a vice president of business development, business planner position, and as soon as I get over there, I hear about them letting nurses go and letting people go while I'm there, and I'm like, man, I came from the States to get away from this instability of jobs, and all of that. But anyway, so I went there. I went to work there, and I think during the course of from age straight out of college and like buying my first home condo straight out of college, never lived in an apartment, like the financial decisions that I made along the way. I was able to save money and have investments and, do all that early. I learned a lot of principles with Primerica Financial Services and all that stuff. So by the time it happened in Qatar, they had a layoff. My boss was gone, everybody was gone.
Wow.
That happened in Qatar after being there almost 2 years, year and a half, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in a foreign country and I'm going through the same thing again, right? It has nothing to do with my skills. It has nothing to do with my work ethic. It's just, hey, that's corporate America, and especially when you get to the higher levels of positions. When a new person comes in, president, higher level, they want to bring their own team of people. So when there's a transition at the top, they bring their own team of people.
Wow.
So then I was passing through in Indiana, South Bend. I said, I'm going to come through here and I'm going to move to Texas. I got used to the hot weather in Qatar. Right. I was like, I'm going to hot weather. Texas, North Carolina. And my daughter was like, she's never lived near family, this close to family, and she wanted to live near family.
Gotcha.
And then how things are working out. But I said to myself, I said, if I ever move back to the state of Indiana, I would have my own business. I would not want to work for someone else.
All right.
And that was an agreement I made to myself years ago, because when I was younger and my mom was alive, she was like, Sonya, why don't you just move back to South Bend? Come be with family. But interviews and things that I had throughout the years in Indiana wasn't positive experience, because it's just South Bend, this area just didn't have the diversity at the top and the type of positions that I was used to. So it wasn't a positive experience. Even I, interviewed with the health system in Indianapolis and, things of that nature. And so I said, I know my experience from all over the world. I know the type of what I bring to the table and the type of environment I would like to be in.
That's right.
And if I cannot be in that environment, then I can make my own.
Right. Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
The story is just impactful because I see an entrepreneur who knows what they want and they went after it. And you evaluated the situation, the landscape, so to speak, and you wasn't a quitter, obviously. You never gave up in what you was trying to achieve. And you had a sense of motivation even when you moved back here, because your daughter said she wanted to be around family. So, okay, if I'm going to come here, I'm still going to make my own. And that's what you've done.
Yeah.
And we thank you for that. So, in most businesses, we talk a lot about this on our show in connection with the beginning of those businesses, where you got to have a plan, a business plan, and then all the things that's included in that business plan. And so, when it came to Wealth in Motions, the vision, the plan, the process, the registration, how did that all go about for you? And then did you have a mentor this time, or did you still have to do it alone?
I think it was a mixture, right? So when I came here, I met Cindy Cohen, and a lot of people know her as I guess they call her the mama entrepreneurship here in town.
Okay.
So Cindy and I were talking, and she encouraged me to go ahead and do it. Because first I wasn't going to do it. I'm like, oh, I'm leaving here. I'll wait until I figure out what state I'm going to before I start this. She's like, no, go ahead and do it, Sonya. And I knew how to register the state and do all that. But then through a friend of mine, I had a gentleman that did my website. He did all all that stuff. I worked on a business plan myself. I mean, it was now all the things that I'm coaching and telling people how to do. There was a lot of that I did it on my own, and I did it the longer way route. It was before Chat GPT that I taught you and stuff like that. So I did it the real way, the old school way. So I did all that. But the thing is, even when you're starting a new business and you're evolving, sometimes you just have to jump out into it. Like, you're not going to have the full vision. You might have part of the vision. And as you go along and as you're doing it and as you're learning that space, then it starts to morph and evolve. And as you begin to see what the market needs, because you might have a vision, and you and I have talked about this, of what you think would be great. Oh, this would be a great business. But then you go out into the market and find out there's 15 other people that's doing it exactly the way you envisioned it, or there's no one doing it, and you don't have a baseline to say, is this going to be profitable? Is it going to work? Right. Like, you can't go to the bank and say, well, you don't have, what are you projecting this off of? Right? So, so sometimes one of the key things that I think pieces that are missing is understanding the market. And that takes time to know who are the key players in what you're doing. Who are the companies that or people or agencies that you might be able to partner with or have contracts with? That all takes time, and it took me time. It took me time. I would say the first 6 months, 8 months was a loss, because I'm just putting things, getting started. After the 6 to 8 months, don't expect money. By the next time, I found a key partner in which I could work with that had some guaranteed, like some study money coming in.
Okay, steady money. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you're going to volunteer a lot of your time too. You're going to volunteer because the key thing of business is people do business with what? People that they know, like, and trust. And it takes time to build that, to have people know you, like you, and trust you. And even though I grew up in South Bend, I was gone most of my adult years. So yes, Sonya was here, but the business community didn't know me. Right. The consumer community didn't know me. Right. They knew of me, and there's people that remembered me from being on billboards or on commercials and valedictorian, but that's how all they knew me as. So coming back to the area and have people get to know me as, the Sonya that's been out in the business world, that's worked with CEOs, that's worked with, billion-dollar contracts, that's worked with lots of money and billion-dollar hospitals, and the things I did behind the scenes, the programs I created, and all of that stuff. So multi-million-dollar programs. So it's like, that's on my resume, but the question is, what can you do for me? Right. What can you do for me in this town, in this component? How can you help me is the question. Yeah,
and that's powerful. And I'm glad you touched on that, because you mentioned about the thing that's missing that most people are not seeing. And then, again, that business plan, when it comes to those projections, like you said, what are you basing that off of? I loved how you described that, because again, that business plan is one of the instruments that's used to go to those banks or
investors or
or
partners. Who wants to?
Right.
How do they know if you want to partner with the business? Say, hey, I'm coming to the door. You do this. I can bring this to the table. They want to know, okay, am I going to connect my business name and reputation to you? What do you have to offer, and what do you have documented that you've done, and what revenues have you brought in? How do you document those revenues?
Yeah. See, and that's powerful, because again, that just shows. Now, one of the questions I keep getting, based on people who've talked to me after they viewed the show, I had a gentleman call me the other day and asked a question about certain financial resources. Is there a thing for grants? Do they have grants for business owners or anything like that? Tell me if that's a real thing or not.
I think that there are grants for let's put it this way. Let me go back. It depends on what you want to do and what you want to get a grant for.
Okay.
Okay. So there are grants that are offered through cities. Different cities got monies and funds from the federal government, state governments that help businesses to secure business. Because when COVID-19 happened, they realized when all those monies came, the bigger businesses got them, but the small businesses didn't. Why didn't they get the money? Because the cities didn't know who their small business and entrepreneurs were. Because number one, either the businesses weren't registered, they were all sole proprietor. They've been doing it for years, but never registered with the state. There was no way of knowing. Number two, maybe the businesses were registered, but they didn't even have business bank accounts. People were commingling funds. So how do you prove the revenues are coming in for the business? So there was a lot of education that entrepreneurs, that educational gap that's missing. And the cities never saw it as their responsibility, I think.
Okay.
COVID kind of shifted things, right? So a lot of cities, and I've worked with some cities, and I've worked with the city of South Bend and worked with the city of Mishawaka, and I've sat down with economic development, and I've explained to them, most of the neighborhoods are tapped out when you talk about tax dollars, property taxes and stuff like that, and commercial dollars. Yeah, you get your Big Fish or your Walmart or somebody Meyer moved to town or this, but that's not going to grow. But the biggest and fastest way that any city can grow their property, their tax base, is through economic development through small businesses. Because when these businesses all get registered and they start bringing in more money and they're successful, then they have to pay the city and the state taxes.
Taxes, right.
Right?
Right.
So, and the second thing is 99% of the job growth comes from small businesses, not from your Myers, not from your big box business, but the small businesses. So if you want to grow your whole economic development and jobs and all of that, you really have to really invest in your small businesses. And I think a lot of cities are beginning to recognize that.
Okay. So they need to be making sure they're registered. They need to make sure their business has a business account.
Yes.
If they're going to be even considered eligible for the possibility of a grant that the city may have. So based on what I'm hearing here, there are possibly funds sitting that could have been issued out to certain business owners or business owners overall if they just did those things.
Yes.
And of course, there's probably more things involved, but those are some of the big key things.
I'll give it the basic things for anybody who's listening so that they'll have it.
Yeah.
Number one, register your business with the state.
Okay.
The business name and all that. And it doesn't take that much money. With the state of Indiana, how much is it? $94, right?
Possibly.
It's $94 with the state of Indiana.
Okay.
Yep. And if you're listening in Michiana and you're across the border in Michigan, it's less. I think it's $50 in Michigan. So $94 or $50. Register with the state. Next thing is get your business account separate from your personal account. Get an EIN number from the IRS.
Which is free, by the way.
Yep, it's free. And then the next thing is get some software or business software where you can track and you can see what's coming in, what's going out, your expenses, so that you can show profit and loss and all that. So not only for grants, but if you want certain loans, there's loans you can go out there to get and everything too.
Okay. So is there a place that they can, if they have those things, what should they do to reach out to try to get those grants or those loans? What are those resources? Where are those resources?
Well, so a lot of grants, getting those things in order and all of that. So if you back up, if you're a new business and you're saying, hey, I don't have those things in place, if you're in the city of South Bend, you got the City of South Bend website, South Bend Business Assistance Suite. Okay. The city has grants that'll help pay for those things and coaching to help you get those things done.
All right.
So the city of South Bend has that.
Okay.
The city of Mishawaka, if you're city of Mishawaka, in the fall, pretty soon, 2025, there's a program through the Mishawaka Business Institute where I'm leading that for the city of Mishawaka, where we're going to start doing some things to help businesses get financing and stuff and grants through that institute too. So the cities are really recognizing that, and there's big opportunity for small businesses. There's also it's called Hello Alice. You can go online, Google Hello Alice, look it up, and they post all kind of grants for small businesses.
Wow.
And they have them come out every month and stuff, different types of grants. And then your local library is a resource. They have a research librarian at the St. Joseph Public Library on Main Street, the downtown branch, where there's a book of grants.
Yeah.
And he'll show you how to go through and look for grants.
Yeah, see, that's a beautiful thing. So do me a favor. First of all, thank you for sharing that information. Secondly, tell the people where they can get in contact with you, how they can get in contact with you, website, phone number. Give them that information.
Okay, sure. How you can get in touch with me, my phone number is 574-402-8463. You can find me on Facebook, Wealth in Motion Consulting. So you can follow me on Facebook, and all my information is there, website. You can book a free consultation for 30 minutes free to talk to me. 30 minutes free on through my website, www.wealthinmotion, which is motion.net. www.wealthinmotion.net.
All right. Well, listen, it has been an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to sit with you and have this discussion. And I look forward to continuing to do some business with you. And thank you for joining us today, okay?
Thank you for having me.
All right. So you all, thank you again for tuning in and watching another episode of Let's Talk Business. I hope that this was very helpful to you as you are taking your entrepreneur and business ownership journey. And we're looking forward to bringing more information to your attention, all right? So you all have a good day. Thank you for joining us.